Aloha and how's it? Today we're talking all about how you can create more freedom in your life and in your business when you stop operating from this one limiting belief. So, more on that in a minute. How was your weekend? Since we're in the holiday season, the kiddos are around a little bit more than usual because it's winter break. We're getting more time with the family and soon are going to be embracing the colder weather with a relocation back to the Chicagoland area. So that's why my lighting isn't quite so great. So stay tuned. I've been writing this board, which is really tall, so you can't see it. It's a 6'8", but it's actually a custom board, and I'm borrowing it at the moment. And it's fun, especially on the big waves, but it's not my same little fish that I really like to ride, but still fun. So, have you checked out the latest episode of the Mango Effect podcast yet? This week's episode is all about how to cope with uncertainty when you're going through a transition, whether that's with your business, your life, your career, your education, or your geographical location, like I am. So while you're there, check out the other 46 episodes about creating a life you love, being a digital entrepreneur, figuring out how to live in rhythm with nature, learning to serve, doing life your way, and more. Now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show on Monday afternoons if you're based in the US, where I talk about all things LinkedIn, pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I call the 3 Ps of LinkedIn. So if you have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer, be sure to like this post, whether you're watching live or from the replay. Leave your questions below, and I will answer them either after the show or on a future episode of Mondays with Mindy. Let's get straight to today's topic. How can you create more freedom in your business when you stop operating from this one limiting belief? If you're anything like me, and like many of the entrepreneurs I know, we're all about getting a real results for our businesses. That means we're on this never ending hunt for the one strategy that will give us that quantum leap, that shift in perspective. That is exactly what we need to break through whatever obstacle is in our way right now. Now, I'm guilty. Like the whole oh shiny, that latest and greatest marketing strategy or sales tactic must be the reason I am not seeing the results I want for my business. But when we continue to leapfrog from this marketing tactic to that social platform to yet another social selling approach, we make absolutely no progress. Yes, we are busy, but it's really easy to get caught up in the activity of just doing that we forget the reason why we're doing what we are doing. What's it all for? How does this map to our overarching objective to grow our business and increase our influence? If you truly want to create more freedom in your business and design your ideal lifestyle, then this one limiting belief has got to go. We're going to get a little bit personal with me today as we address the limiting belief that I feel like is holding so many of us back from creating an ideal business by our own design and what we can do to shift our perspective as we are looking towards 2023. Because I don't know about you, but I'm thinking a lot about my 2023 goals and what that's going to look like. So, aloha, for those who don't know me, my name is Mindy Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindy Rosser Marketing, and I have a group program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and their network. We're actually kicking off the next cohort in January, and I will share the link to get on the wait list in the comments below. I help superstars who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go to visible expert in their niche so they can get that next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact. In this live, we're going to talk about why you're not experiencing the freedom you hoped when you started your business and how this is leading you to get stuck in the grind of the day to day and what you can do right now to experience that quantum leap in 2023. Are you ready? Let's do this. Really fun topic. So go ahead and like this post whether you're live or watching from the replay to give it some social love. Now, have you ever caught yourself saying, there's just not enough time in the day or week to get it all done? All right, I'll raise both my hands. I'm like super guilty of that one. For several years, I felt that my biggest problem was time. There was not enough time to build an audience, get into my LinkedIn messages, send connections to grow my network, create a viable business plan, nurture existing relationships to grow my business, appear on podcasts, guest lecture inside other business owners' memberships, build, launch, or sell group programs, or create a weekly live stream like this show. So I had a million and one excuses why I was not doing all of these things. I was too busy with my one to one clients, scheduling and preparing for calls that didn't actually move anyone's objectives forward, doing tasks that never move the needle. So, sure, I was showing up very consistently over time to do my job, but not at the level that was satisfying or allowed me to really shine and help people in a deeper way. Besides, some menial task in a spreadsheet. So, a couple years ago, I had experienced one of the biggest upsets of my career when LinkedIn actually made a change on the back end that disrupted my entire flow of what I did and how I help my clients. So I lost about half of my clients in that point in time, which dramatically impacted my income. And I literally was terrified. I was also in a business partnership that was not aligned with my vision for the future. It really didn't operate by my values either. Plus, I had recently increased my cost of living here on the North Shore because I had not anticipated the income drop. So I sat down with my husband and told him that I could no longer bank on being this, six-figure freelancer, and I had to make a serious shift for my own well-being, my long-term career success, and align with my deeper calling. So he had gone all in on supporting me as a stay-home dad earlier that year to allow me to really focus all my work energy on my business. And now I felt kind of bad because here we were. I felt like I had let everyone down. And at that moment, I realized I had a choice to make. There was no other option but to stop using the "I don't have time for this" excuse. I had to reinvent my relationship with time. I had to find another way besides just working myself into the ground for short term cash flow. I realized I had to build a business machine. So, for any of you who have already made this leap, you know how hard it is to simply give up that cushy client work or that nice 9 to 5. We just need to make enough things happen to keep everyone happy and to actually shift to recreating how you go about making money. So, it takes a mindset shift. It takes giving up those limiting beliefs that you thought were serving you. And here's what happened: it really felt like a major shift for me at the time. My mindset was very, very different. But where does it all begin if you want to shift your relationship with time to one that is empowered? One where time is abundant, where you can create that effortless flow with your days. There's no more rushing from pointless meeting to pointless meeting during the day. There's no more feeling guilty when you want to sneak away for a quick surf session or a workout. I like doing those midday because you're not waiting for a client or business partner that might ping you on Slack and expect an immediate response. You have that freedom. So you must start treating every single decision you make as if you are a seven-figure CEO, because you already are, whether or not you have the revenue to prove it. And I learned this concept from James Wedmore. Fantastic, very brilliant mind when it comes to building your business. I highly recommend checking out his Mind Your Business podcast if you want to learn from the master, but he has a lot of good content around this topic. So I started making shifts in my day to day business life. I learned how to set appropriate boundaries with my former business partner, stop working for free on initiatives I knew had no legs behind them. I stopped feeling stressed about like the Slack pings. Like those of you who are working in real time, it can be really tricky to try to focus when you're getting pinged all day. I also have my phone on silent all day, so I never hear a text message ever, which there's pros and cons to that. My husband sometimes been like, Mindy, I've been texting you. I'm like, I know, you got to call. So I only do calls with prospects or clients. Usually it's like 3 days per week. And I set aside the other days for guest appearances, live streams like this one. And I try to have a full day of off stage work. So stuff where I'm not like presenting or delivering or talking. So it took me some changing my beliefs around time at first. Like it was a very, very big shift from what I was doing before. But I took one small action towards implementing this new belief in my life until it became a habit. So, yes, I had to exit that business partnership because it no longer served either of us once I set those healthy boundaries. Yes, I had to experience a number of setbacks related to putting more energy into creating a scalable business model that can help people more effectively than I ever could by just doing it for people. But looking back, I made the right choice. I learned how to build a business machine, and it's starting to pay off pretty big time. So, what people didn't see behind the scenes was this shift in belief that had to happen for me to make it all possible. So, time is not the enemy, it's more abundant than we realize. And it's time to reinvent your relationship with time, no pun intended. So, let's talk about 5 things you can do now to create that more personal freedom and really develop a healthier relationship with time. And I want to talk about exactly what it takes to create that, because sometimes you're like, oh, yeah, I get it. I get it. Maybe I just need to time block more. Maybe I just need to, change my Calendly availability. But it's a little bit more than that. But it's also not as difficult as we think, especially when you have the commitment and motivation to implement one thing at a time. So, first of all, you want to choose one overarching goal. So, we like to think that we can do it all simultaneously. Like, I tend to overbook myself. I tend to sign up for all the things. I think I can do this and this and this, no problems, because as long as all my time boxing works perfectly, it'll all get done. But usually the unexpected does happen. So if you are, especially if you're new to doing your own business or trying to figure out client work or all of this stuff, if this is new to you, if you've recently been through a shift with your business or your career, keep in mind that you want to take on a lot less than you think you can handle, especially at the beginning. So the key here is not overwhelming yourself. You pick one shift you want to make during the year, and you choose one next action, course, tactic, strategy that will get you closer to that goal. So it's basically the rule of one. So it's like, where are you headed? What's the one strategy? And what's the one next action step to take you closer? So sometimes what you try is going to work out better than you hoped, and sometimes it's going to flop. And I've noticed this a lot over the last year. I've tried a lot of things. I've done lots of meta ads. I have done a lot of launches. I've done some soft launches. I've done an evergreen program. I've tried a lot of things. So the key here is to keep an eye on your overarching goal and then adjust your strategy when something does or does not work. And sometimes a strategy is good, and then you as a human change, or your family dynamic changes, or your location changes, and you're actually going to have to make some shifts to what you were doing in your strategies. That's okay. It's about getting started and going in the right direction for you right now. You can always change it later. You can always adjust. I am always changing. At the beginning of the year, I set annual goals. Usually about a quarter or two in, I'm changing those annual goals because something has shifted, something has evolved. But because I took that first step towards those big goals, I go, oh, I didn't know this at the beginning of the year. It's a good thing I took those steps, because now here's how the goal actually needs to shift. So the more times you do this, the faster you'll be able to test ideas. You'll be able to understand strategies, and before you start doing them, you'll know if or not, if they're going to work, or if they have a high chance of succeeding or not. So you'll get better at this over time. You're going to learn, but be okay with making mistakes. Be okay with choosing a goal but changing it later. So, for example, I'm on a mission to build a business that allows me a lot of time freedom. It also has a good number of high leverage offers as the basis of my business income. So everything I do maps back to this strategy. So keep in mind, like, what is the overarching goal? For me, it's to have that time freedom, because I'm actually going to be pursuing some higher education. So I need that extra time to actually focus on my studies. So, whatever that is for you, whatever your reason is for creating time freedom, just be very clear on what that is and why you're doing it. And then make sure you have a really good strategy to help you achieve that. Do not waver from your overarching goal unless it's absolutely necessary. If that goal needs to change, make a note of it. Like, I do a little bit of a goal setting fanatic. So I do annual goals, I do quarterly goals, I do monthly goals, I do weekly goals. So every single week I'm checking in, and every single day I'm reading through my annual goals, my quarterly goals, my monthly goals, my weekly goals. And what this does for me, it literally takes 60 seconds. I just glance through them. It keeps me on track. And when I notice that something is changing, I will make a note. Even if I have, my quarterly goal set and I realize, midway through that quarter that something isn't working, something needs to change, I can make that change then. And I can actually note it. Like, why am I changing? Because I think a lot of times we're like, oh, it didn't work, and you just move on. You've got to pay attention, because everything has to map to your overarching goal. And if you discover that that overarching goal is not what you actually want, then that's our time to really pay attention and figure out what needs to happen next. All right, number two, set boundaries around booking calls. And you're like, Mindi, we were just talking about goals. Now we're talking about calls? Like, what are you talking about? Those of you who are in a business similar to me, where you do a lot of phone calls, you do a lot of prospecting, you do a lot of one-to-one sales, I have mentioned this on prior episodes of this show, where I talked a little bit about what it's like to set boundaries and how you shouldn't be handing out your Calendly link to anyone who asks for it. And one mistake I see so many newcomers make to the space when they're trying to get initial business is too much laxity around their calendar. So letting anyone and everyone have access to your calendar without actually qualifying them. Now, those of you in business development and sales know what I mean when I say qualifying a call. You don't just have calls with prospects who are not qualified because that is a waste of time. If they're not actually going to buy your product, you are giving somebody who's not going to buy your time and you are not giving a potential customer your time. So that's not a good choice. So before I let anyone have my calendar link, I assess what type of opportunity this is going to be for me and how it might be advantageous for us both. So if it's not going to make either of us more money or grow our audiences or provide an irrefutable, I can't even say that word, irrefutable return on our time, I don't hand out my calendar link. Whenever I make the mistake of handing it out to someone who just wants to get to know me or have a virtual coffee, it doesn't tend to end up well because I feel like I catered to someone else's whim without providing a clear cut benefit to both of us. And I don't feel like that's the best use of my time or their time. So remember, it's okay to protect your calendar if you're the type of person who needs a lot of creative space to do her or his best work. So keep in mind that your calendar is key to making all of this work because what ends up on your calendar is going to make or break your business, especially if you're in the early stages of creating and running your business. All right, number three, create a support network of people on a similar journey. Now, I don't know about you, but I used to consider myself a pioneer. I didn't need anyone. I don't need anyone to help me achieve my goals. I can just do this myself. It's totally fine. I thought I could just take a course, read a book, listen to a podcast, implement without ever having accountability or group support. Like I'm just a doer. Like tell me what I need to do. I'll get it done. I'll learn what I need to learn. But one thing I have learned over the past year, 2 years, was that I need and enjoy certain types of interactions in business and professional communities on a regular basis, especially since I'm pretty much a solopreneur with a very, very small team. So I have business friends I meet with regularly to share about wins, challenges, struggles, brainstorm ideas, and everything in between. And this really helps me stay connected. I also am very, very active in my LinkedIn DMs. So in a busy week where I'm not able to hop on calls, I feel like I still feel connected to people because I always have ongoing communications with people I've met years ago. And we are talking about business. And so there's that feeling of connection, even when it's a very busy season for me. I also am an active member in usually about 3 to 5 professional organizations at any given time where I can get coached, inspired by other business leaders on a similar journey. This is really the best investment I have made in myself in the past couple of years is really diving into these communities, becoming a part of them, and really getting to know people on a similar path as I am. Now, remember, you don't have to do it all alone. Find your tribe and engage with them. And if you tend to be more introverted, that's fine too, because there are a lot of online communities where you can kind of pop in when you're feeling social and you can kind of sit back and enjoy when you are not feeling as social. So, no matter whether you're introverted or extroverted, you need to have people around you that are helping you, that are on a similar mission, people above you, same level, people a little bit behind you. It's all good to have a mix of people around you as you are navigating the space. Number four, invest in your professional development. So, really think about the tools you need, the communities you need. This kind of ties in with what I said in step number three, too, with the support network of people, because this is going to help you experience those quantum leaps. Now, on the topic of professional development, I believe we must all keep learning or we will stop growing and fail to reach our full potential as leaders. Over the years, I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in tools, programs, experiences that help me to reconfigure my business. And I plan to continue this practice of investing in my education moving forward. Whatever that education looks like, it might be more formal, it might be more business and entrepreneurial related. But for me, education is key. It's key to just being human for me. And these investments, when you choose them well, are worth far more than their weight in gold. And I expect to always receive at least a 10x return on my investment every time I sign up for a new program or invest my time or resources into something. And so should you. Like choose really wisely. Don't just sign up for somebody's program because you're like, oh, I like your Instagram post. I'm going to sign up for your program. You need to really resonate and you needs to be aligned with your strategy for what you're doing now and moving forward. So choose wisely and figure out who can teach you what you need to know to grow to that next level. Sometimes it's somebody that's just ahead of you. Sometimes it's learning from somebody who has a very specific area of expertise. Sometimes it's somebody who's like miles ahead of you and you think, "Oh, I'll never get there," but they're inspirational and they can really help you get that quantum leap. So don't be afraid to invest your time and money in yourself. It is one of the best investments you will ever make. And finally, number five, choose one sales and marketing platform where you are going to go all in throughout this next year. This is a big one because many of us still try to be everywhere on all the platforms because we're told that we can easily repurpose our content to make it all happen. We have like the FOMO, the fear of missing out around what will happen to our business if we don't do this. So I caution you because I see a lot of my peers struggling with this too. I caution you to pick one primary sales and marketing platform that you do a lot of upfront work and due diligence to be sure your people are there and they like to engage around your topic. And then you want to invest as much as you can into that one platform for a full year. A full year, yes, a full year. But of course, confirm that your people are actually there and reachable. And then you decide if you need to even go elsewhere. So many of my clients and program members stick with just LinkedIn. Like most of them just use LinkedIn and they discover they no longer need to use all of the other platforms to get the results they want. And boom, they are saving tons of time, money, and resources because their people are on LinkedIn, they're reachable, and they don't have to go elsewhere. So if LinkedIn is your place, go all in here. If Instagram is your place, go all in there. We're talking specifically about LinkedIn today, but other channels, it would be just as applicable there. So let's just recap what we're covering. So choose your one overarching goal for this next year. Make sure all of your strategies, all of the steps you're taking, all map to that goal. If that goal needs to change at any point in time, make sure you note why it's changing and what you're changing. Then you want to set boundaries around your time. So here, the example is booking calls. Make sure you are not overbooked. You're not wasting your time talking to people who are not going to make you money. And then number three, create a support network. Make sure that you set this up. A lot of people like to do accountability pods where you meet once a week. I've done that. I did it for like 18 months with the same group of people. It was fantastic. Our paths diverted and went different directions at the end of that time, but it was incredible while we were getting together. And I felt like I was connected and I didn't feel alone, especially as I was going through a lot of transitions. Very valuable. So, whatever that looks like for you to create that network, do it. Number four, invest in your professional development. So remember, it's not a waste of time, it's not a waste of money, but choose wisely. Who do you want to learn from? What do you need to learn? And then think about that sales and marketing platform where you need to go all in because this is really going to help you take that quantum leap forward in your business and career. And it can really be that simple. Like, we don't have to make this complicated. It's about having goals, strategies, and taking action towards them. So, all you need to do is realize you have the power, you have the time, you have the support, and you have the resources to make it all happen. Now, if you're looking for that extra edge to get you started on the right path with LinkedIn to accelerate your business or career in 2023, I highly recommend you get on the wait list for the LinkedIn Accelerator. We are kicking off at the beginning of the year in January, and this is a program that is tailored to take you through all 5 sections of your LinkedIn profile in just 1 week. And you're off to the LinkedIn races to start growing your network and getting conversations. If you're interested, here's that link. I'll also put it in the comments if you're watching the replay, and you can click on it and sign up to get notified as soon as I open the doors to that program. That's it for this week. That went fast. I will see you all next week on Mondays with Mindi. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below, and my inbox is always open if you want to message me directly. All right, I will see you all then.